We make ourselves comfortable because now we are free. And that's the remembrance of Passover. So there's also, though, as I said earlier, a time to forget, right? The Jewish people remember this story of freedom, but we don't need to live with it every single day. We need to forget about it. And let me just do a disclaimer here. When I say forget, because I'm going to be talking about forgetting a lot in my talk, I know that we can't forget everything. There's a reason. We need to know things so that we can not repeat mistakes into the future. We need to remember who we are. We need to remember where we live, all that stuff. So when I say forget, I'm really talking about forgetting in the moment that which we don't need to keep perpetuating. Dr. Tom Costa, who actually was the person who brought this center to life, this was his center to begin with, he always said, "Oh, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not build a condo there." And that's what we continue to teach here. And so if we forget, we can move through the valley and on to the other side. So forgetfulness, I say today, is about just letting go of needing to remember every single thing about your past in this moment and to forget it. Forget about it. So I love, Reverend William talked about being in the now moment. That was so perfect because we're going to be talking about the now. That's where forgetting allows us to be present. Alan Watts says that our consciousness is almost completely preoccupied with memory and expectation, right? We're constantly living in the past. We can't help it. We're kind of wired like that. We're wired like that, but we have choice. He says, we do not realize that there never was, is, nor will be any other experience than the present experience, like Reverend William said, just the now. We are therefore out of touch with reality, right? We are out of touch with the reality that we teach here, which is infinite possibility. If we are stuck in the past, we're thinking that this is all I have to work with. We're thinking that I have to keep going and going and going back to what I know to create the future. And Alan Watts is saying, stop it. Because what we teach is right here, right now, is all these great ideas that are there for the taking. We just have to be open to them. And we have to forget about everything we've created before and create using a fresh palette. Because the universe is more than ready to give us ideas and guidance of something new for us to bring into our world, into our reality. Because once something is done, it's done. And the universe provides us with the new. We got to just trust that. If you look back at your life, I bet that every single one of you has created anew. You would have to. That you created something anew out of the oldness that was no longer serving you. Something sparked you. An idea came or an opportunity came and you said, why not? Why not? Maybe a new relationship, a new job, a new place to live. The universe is always tapping us on the shoulder and saying, let's go a new direction because this is done. I found this online. I don't know who said it. Stop cheating on your past, your future with your past. It's over. It's done. You know, I'm really clingy. I'm really like attached kind of a person, and I get how hard it is to let go. I totally get it. This has been one of my lessons, to just let go. The past is absolutely done. It's complete, and we don't need to go there anymore. We need to just step into this newness that's there for us. So Ernest Holmes talks about finding a new vision. He says, as we bring ourselves to a greater vision than the range of our present concepts, which is what is in our memory bank, right? All the old concepts that we've been just going over and over and living in, the old concepts. He said, we can then induce a greater concept, something new, a greater concept, and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. And as a fellow human being, sometimes I get really frustrated because I don't know what that new concept is, and I want to know right now. I want to know in this moment, and it's uncomfortable not knowing what is the new concept, what are the new concepts, and I have to just breathe. I got to breathe, I got to relax, and let the new concept arise, because you know what? All it takes is a desire. That's all it takes, a desire for something new to make itself conscious to you. We are very strong people. We are very strong in consciousness. And if we realize that the desire is the spark that brings the ideas and the wisdom to the surface, when we know that, we're in great shape, because then the universe can speak to us clearly. So Reverend William and I are teaching this class on Monday, and we just finished teaching mental equivalence. And this is in Ernest Holmes' terms. And I know it sounds weird, mental equivalence. Are we going to have to do math? No, you're not going to have to do math. What he taught about mental equivalence, though, is that we have beliefs about what we can embody and also about what we cannot embody. And so what's in our consciousness, in our belief system, whatever is there is what we are going to experience here, right? So the idea is we are equal to the world that we are experiencing right now. We are equal to it because that belief, those beliefs are in our minds, so we're equal to it all. And so if we want to change that up, we have to have new mental equivalents or new beliefs about what is possible for ourselves. You know, and I stand on this stage and I told you so many times that I had pretty limited mental equivalence about myself. It's just how I arose into my life. I never thought I'd be doing this, ever. But I opened myself up after doing a lot of different things in my life. I just said, I need something new, and I don't know what it is. When I moved here, I wanted huge new, and I knew nothing about what that would look like. I just surrendered to the unfolding of it all. And step by step by step, I evolved and expanded my mind because I had just said, I'm ready. That's it. So going back to our story of Passover, I was thinking about Moses, really thinking about him, and I thought, you know what? He was the new mental equivalent for the Jewish people. He was the new mental equivalent, the new idea of what was possible for them. Because prior to his entrance into the scene, the Jewish people thought they were equal to being slaves. They didn't see any way out, and so they just resigned themselves to being slaves. That was their mental equivalent. And then you've got Moses who comes along and he says, I am going to show you what you can be. He was the new mental equivalent, the new idea. He said, Jews, listen to me. You can be free. And there's a power greater than all of us that is spirit, that is everywhere present. And we're going to recognize that power. We're going to enlist that power into our lives and get us into freedom. Perfect science of mind teaching, right? Change your thinking, change your life. So Moses was this symbol of a new idea to be. And look what happened. He got him right out of Egypt and into the promised land. A huge, huge miracle. And I'm going to just tell you this, Bible stories are really just symbols for transformation of the spirit. We can read them like that. That's the gem. And this Bible story is a perfect, perfect example of inner transformation by finding a new belief. And sometimes we need a symbol of that. And that's what Moses was. So I don't know if anybody has read the book, My Stroke of Insight. Anybody read it? By Jill Bolte Taylor. She was a neuroscientist, 37 years old, massive stroke. 37. Forgot everything. Forgot who her family was, forgot who she was, forgot everything she had ever learned. She could still talk and whatnot, but her memory was completely gone. And this book is excellent because she talks about what she found, and that was consciousness. She could understand consciousness. She felt some sort of life inside of her. But because all of the memory was gone, she didn't have anything to identify with except this divine energy inside of herself. It's pretty powerful. She says in her book, to the right mind, and when she says right mind, she got a lot of clarity about the hemispheres of the mind, but we can look at this as the right mind to be in, because we do teach that in Science of Mind. Our right mind is that mind of knowing who we are, possibilities, the power that we have to create our lives, totally high expectations, right? The greatest good, that's our right mind. And so she says, to the right mind, no time exists other than the present moment. I mean, she was as present as a person could be because she had no memory of anything. So talk about being present. She had no choice but to be present. She says, and each moment is vibrant with sensation. Life or death occurs in the present moment. The experience of joy happens in the present moment. Our perception and experience of connection with something that is greater than ourselves occurs in the present moment. To our right mind, the moment of now is timeless and abundant. And as important as our memories are, and they are important, as important as they are, though, there is a time to forget. There is a time to remember the good, and there's a time to forget the not so good. There's a time to remember who we are as spiritual beings, and there's a time to forget how we used to see ourselves as limited, as less than. There's a time to remember who we are as a spiritual community and a world, and there's a time to forget that which divides people. There's a time to remember what is possible when we come together as one. Oh, and there's no need to unlock your iPhone first. And there's a time to forget. There's a time to forget what separates us as beings. There's a time to remember that the time is now, to move forward as one. And there's a time to forget what we created yesterday. There's a time to remember that love is all there is, and a time to forget everything else. And so I beckon you today to look inside your memory bank and take stock of what's there, and start letting go of the memories that do not serve you, and start to remember what you can do, who you are, and start creating from the now moment that is rich with possibility, rich with life, and rich with the power of Spirit to take you into it. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful